Hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, let's talk about Star Wars The High Republic Adventures Annual Number 1. This is a really cool annual that collects a bunch of stories from Star Wars High Republic. This is by Dark Horse, so this is not the Marvel stuff. And we'll talk about it. There's a lot of things that are a lot of fun from this book, and I have some issues with it as well. I don't really read a lot of the High Republic stuff. I also don't read a lot of the Dark Horse Star Wars books, just because most of them are either High Republic or like I don't know, not canon, or there's some kind of like legacy. It's very complicated, but this is a one shot to kind of kick things off and bring in a big group of creators. So let me read you the synopsis here. This anthology issue collects 5 tales of Republic bravery and Nihil treachery from across the galaxy, featuring Jedi Knight Venestra Rowe, Jedi younglings John Bree and Toko, Chura the Hutt, and the sly Nihil Digrit, the sinister Baron Bulin as they navigate the perils of the impending Battle of Veriadu. Brought to you by some of the most influential creators of the High Republic. We'll get into the creative list because that's also one of my kind of issues with this. So, like I said, that synopsis did not make a lot of sense to me because I am not caught up with the High Republic. I don't know who a lot of these characters are, but as I was getting into these stories, the beauty of an anthology is that a lot of these stories are just kind of little one morsels of story. You don't need to know the full extent of the background to understand it and to get it, emotionally attached to the story or to even just follow the events that are happening. So, um, my big issue here is that there are 5 stories here, and there are creators. The credits page for this book is just a smattering of names under 4 different columns, written by, illustrated by, color letters. So to me, I would like to know which creators are doing which stories, like what the teams are. Like I can kind of piece it together, but I don't know all these artists. Like I know Liana Kangas' art, so I immediately recognized their story. I knew that they were working with Elisa Wong, so like I knew that was their story. But I, how do I don't know that I've read enough Charles Soule to just immediately recognize his story or Kevin Scott. So let's talk about the creatives that are on the here. But yeah, I wish Dark Horse would do a better job of like just labeling these things so that I am aware of like maybe which creators I'll want to keep following later on, right? So this is we have stories written by Charles and Rosemary Soule, Elisa Wong, Soraya Cordova, Kevin Scott, and Justina Ireland. We have artists Andy Duggan, Liana Kangas, Juan Samu, Nick Brokenshire, and Colin Craker. We have colors by Dan Jackson, Diana Sosa, Juan Samu, Vladimir Popov, and Kelly Fitzpatrick. And then we have letters by Tyler Smith and Bobby Bradford. Very cool main cover by Eduardo Francisco with Augusto Grillo. So yeah, these stories were interesting. Not every one of them was for me. I mean, I'm a little biased because you guys know how much. Actually, I'm a big fan of both Elisa Wong and Liana Kangas. So the fact that they got to team up to do their own story, that was a lot of fun. Um, so I was that's the main reason I picked up this book. I wanted to check that out. Their story is the heart to heart story. So if you're a fan of both of them, I think that one you'll recognize because I immediately picked up Liana's art. But it was interesting because somebody else colored their work, which I'm not used to seeing. But that was a fun story. I think Charles Soule's story is also a lot of fun. He's one of the people that I've been really reading for a long time, and also just reading in the High Republic every time I want to try something out. Kevin Scott and Justina Ireland, I recently read. There was a small book of anthologies, like a prose book from Titan Comics, that we were able to check out as well. So I know that all of these creators are very heavily involved with the High Republic. The art varies for me. Some of the stories are a little bit more, they feel more kid friendly in the designs. Some of the stories feel a little bit more like the tone of this book is all over the place because that's what a good anthology should be. But I feel like these books are definitely more accessible to a younger audience overall, just based on the type of stories and the design of the characters. But not everything is just for kids. So there's definitely a great it's a really cool range of storytelling. There's stories that get violent and a little weird and maybe even a little scary. Kind of like there's some pretty rad stuff, some really dark stuff as well that happens. The Stellan's Wisdom story feels a little bit more calm, and a lot more action packed. So yeah, it's an interesting smattering of stories, and I would love to try to get into the High Republic. It's just to me, it's always had a pretty large barrier of entry because I don't have one or two characters to kind of like really get me hooked on and follow along. So, outside of Yoda, I don't really know many people that were around in the High Republic. We've now had the show, The Acolyte, which happens during the High Republic era as well. But even then, that doesn't leave me. Even though I recognize some of those characters from some of the High Republic stuff that I've done or I've read, it was still a little. It was still just no one has kind of transferred over in and out. I feel like I do need a bit of a live action hook for me to like go into the comics, which for Marvel is pretty easy because a lot of those comics take place during the main trilogy of films, or they're always doing adaptations of stuff that I'm familiar with. So either way, let me know how do you approach your Star Wars reading? What do you think of the High Republic overall? And what story here was your favorite from this annual? Let me know if you picked it up. I'm still looking for it. My shop didn't have it, and I hope that it was just that they had a delay with it. I don't think they ran out because I didn't see an empty spot for it. So that'll be interesting also to try to hunt one down. So if you have read this, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. As always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. And stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye bye.